So let's start. As I said, as you know, for sure, this meeting is about the kickoff meeting of the advisory committee of ELC. I have been we've been talking through email, but that's just to give you an overview of what is the idea behind it, and as I said, then heard your comments on this. I will not be able to see if you have questions because I'm having the presentation on screen. So I would suggest that you keep all your questions and we do that at the end of the presentation. Just also to introduce myself, since I've just written the small thing in the chat box. I am Ilaria. I am one of the team member of ELC, and I am one of the person who has been dealing with the advisory committee since when we start to work on that. I'm here today with other two colleagues from ELC, which are Dragana and Silvia, and they will also be very much involved in the work of the advisory committee. So we are here, all the three of us, to answer your question and share with you, discuss with you if needed be. So let's start very quickly on what are the next steps of ELC. As most of you know, ELC has been created in 2017 to react to the lack of lesbian visibility, the disappearing of lesbian spaces, and in general the lack of resource for lesbian initiative, organization, and therefore the disappearance of these spaces in Europe and Central Asia. The first two conferences, the conference in Vienna in 2017 and the conference in Kiev this year in April, were very important moment in the building of this idea of a strong lesbian movement. But of course, we thought that it was maybe worth to go beyond that now and to start thinking about the building of a network for lesbian in Europe and Central Asia. That's also one of the reasons why we changed our name. We are not called anymore the European Lesbian Conference, as it was until Kiev. In Kiev, we changed that, and now we are the Euro-Central Asian Lesbian Community. And of course, the change of the name has the scope to, represent the fact that we also include the Central Asia part in our work, but also the fact that we are not just focusing on the conference, but more broadly on how the community will build itself from now on. And that's why an advisory committee was necessary. As you may be aware already, ELC for now is managed and developed, and it's composed by a team of activists that are working on a daily basis and mostly on a volunteer basis for the development of the network itself. But since we are speaking about a Euro-Central Asian network, the magnitude and complexity of such big network requires expertise, requires point of view, requires experience that goes beyond what we have, and needs someone to help us developing the discussions on this permanent network, on reflecting also on what has been done since now, because we have been working on this quite intensively in the past year already, and also provide help, fresh perspective, different point of view to this task, which would be quite big in itself. The idea mainly is to arrive at our third conference, which will be held in 2021, ready to be officially established as a network. When I say ready to be officially established, I mean that we need to have an organization that has a vision and a mission which are clear, a stable structure, a very clear and global strategy and plans to go with it. And so to be able to arrive at the conference, and at the conference vote for the first elected representative of the ELC as a network of lesbian in Europe and Central Asia. That will allow us hopefully to start function permanently and start the work, continue the work in a more permanent way than what has been done since now. In this, the advisory committee will have what you can call a consultative role, which has several aspects to it. It is an aspect of, let's say, a creative approach of brainstorming new ideas, new solutions, because we know that there will be challenge ahead of us, or problems, or things to take into account. And so brainstorm and new ideas are very important in this. There is an aspect of looking at what has been done, what is going on now, and what are the plans, and reviewing them, have comments and feedback on that. And then of course there is also a part in helping us start to the draft of the ELC fundamental documents, which means the statute, the strategic plan, fundraising plan, sustainability plan. It means different kind of documents in different moments, for sure. Also, to give you an overview of how we envision the work in practice. So you are here today around 20. We have another, I would say, another 20, 25 people interested. So we are around 50 people who are interested in the work of the advisory committee. You can understand that having a whole group working at the same time on all things will be completely, will not be efficient at all. So we thought to divide the group in 3, which will deal with different aspects of this task of establishing and building an organization, which means, of course, developing the aim, strategies, and activities of the network. Means also dealing with the structure itself of the network, what we can call the governing body and the procedures to have them working and cooperate. And then there is an issue concerning the sustainability, the community we want to engage with. And these 3 groups will work mostly in parallel, but also will have similar things to discuss from different point of view. This is also why we want to have a coordination. This is kind of splitted, meaning that each group will be coordinated by one of us, meaning by one ELC team member, but also by one person of the group. So the workload is splitted first, but also there is a bit more of involvement in the work, and because actually this is the discussion that we are doing together, and yeah, you're doing together. In terms of timing, we are speaking about 1 meeting per month per each group, which means that if you want to be part of all of 3, it's 3 meetings per month. I will explain to you a bit later, but we will ask you to choose the groups in which you want to be active with. That's really your, you can have a thought about that. It's up to you how many groups you want to be in. Depends also on probably on the time you can give, and also in what you're interested. All these 3 groups are quite fundamental in the development of ELC as a network. So yeah, I have a thought about that, and I will explain to you later how to make the choice, and also have a thought about being the co-coordinator. It's going to be very interesting, and yeah, I would say very interesting. So I know that's probably the most interesting part, so I will go a bit more in details on each group, just to show to you what are we talking about a bit more precisely. First of all is the group on strategy. An organization, of course, needs to have an idea, a strategy, and have to have activities that put in reality this strategy, and actually put in place the change we want to see in the world. This is the group about strategy. Means that first of all we need to have a look of the needs of the lesbian communities and the need of the lesbian movement in Europe and Central Asia. So we will need contribution on how we map those needs, how we define those needs. And then, of course, there is also an issue of framing what we consider as the ELC values, and then also the goals and the plans in a way that represent actually the diversity of the lesbian communities, and also let's say make justice to the creativeness of the lesbian community, the fact that we have been we are a very, very creative community with a very innovative and sometimes revolutionary approaches to things, and that's also something that the strategy group will need to keep in mind, is also to keep ELC with the kind of attitude which is not simply repeating what has been already going on, but looking for things that have not been done, new or different way to do things. So in general, how to keep us this approach of innovation, or if you want, disruption, even yeah, how do you keep this attitude not only toward, let's say, the society and the institution, the stakeholders with whom the organization will have to deal with, but also toward itself. And finally, of course, as I said, a bit of work of revising and look at what has been done since now in terms of theory of change for sure, and also on the strategic planning. Then group 2, it's a group about structure, and it's the group about the governing body of the organization, which is basically means helping us building the backbone of our organization, the thing that keeps the organization in place and assure that the organization can actually live in the world. We to have an organization which is effective, which is, as I said, innovative or disruptive or making things differently, we also need to have very clear internal structure. We need to have a clear definition of role for the internal bodies. We need to have a structure and way of doing things in terms of governance that are in line with our core values and our strategic objective. And of course, we need to have meaningful internal procedures. So the group we will ask the group to do this and help us in something that is actually essential in the way that is really the base for the rest of the things. So this is the group 2. Then of course there is the group 3, which takes into account another very important part of essential part of an organization. Which is the way of both making sure that the resources are coming to the organization, which means, of course, financial resource, money, but means also the energy, the people, keeping the people involved, and having people involved that do not burn out, for example, so have sustainable way of working inside ELC. We will need also to consider the fact that to keep this energy alive, both in terms of resource, financial means, and in terms of people involved, we also need to be directly in touch with our communities. We need to have the back of our community in a way. And so we need to be, to both try to attract and be reachable for people that are not directly engaged in activism or in the traditional way we intend activism. And also we have to find way in which ELC stay in touch. So it's kind of, you know, the two-way approach, not only what the community can give to ELC, but what ELC can give to the community, the Euro Central Asian lesbian communities. And then, of course, again, since money are actually very, very important, especially for the lesbian movement, which is deeply underfunded, we need to think about fundraising and how to make money for these activities. So these are the 3 groups. As you can see, most of these 3 groups will be doing work in parallel. But of course, taking different issue of similar issue, I would say, with different point of view. So it's very important, as I said, that we keep these 3 groups coordinated, so the final work will be meaningful. In terms of when and we want to have things done, or we should have things done, as I said, we are beginning now, and we should arrive with having 1 meeting per month per group until April 2020. We are putting April 2020 as the end of the work of the advisory committee, and but for different reasons. The first is that we want to have some time to do small, quick consultation with other stakeholders. That will be until May 2020. And then we want to have this structure that we will be discussing its ideas, the basic aspect of it, approve and register in the form of the statute and of course the bylaws, which will allow also us, the advisory committee member, to become actually full member of ELC, starting from June 2020, and then from September 2020 being able to open the membership to anyone, and also start what you can call an electoral process that will allow us to arrive in 2021 at the 3rd conference with a structure that is already in place and that can be then put before a General Assembly that will also vote for the representative. That's the idea, that's the plan. what are the next steps in terms of what to do tonight after we finish this meeting? It's very important that you choose the group you want to be in. That depends on, of course, your interests, your skills. Ever thought about that? The way in which we thought it was easier for us to choose the group. I know that some of you have already registered in the Google Doc and put a preference, but please do it again here. You just go to the one of these, or two or three, whatever you prefer, three doodle, and vote for the date. That will allow us to understand what is your group, what is the group you want to be involved in, and also what is your preference for the meeting on the group. That will help us organize. Please do that by 5th of September, which is Thursday, and so we can start the work probably the week after if everything goes well. And that's it from my side for now. I will now close this the sharing of this document, and if you have questions, please don't be shy. Ask them. I will come back to the main thing now. Yeah.
And there were two questions while you were speaking, Ilaria, on the chat. Marion was asking, will we be using technology tools such as Slack or Trello? Anna was proposing. And there were another question about sharing these 3 links of the last slide of the presentation.
Yes, for sure. I will. Well, I will answer to the second question. I will send an email to everyone, not only the people in this meeting, but also people that might be interested in having minutes. And I will be very clear in asking people to have to click on that and do the voting just after this meeting. On the other question about the technology, I would say that maybe that's depend also on the group. If people really prefer to use, for example, Slack or similar tools to organize themselves, I think there is no problem in that. But maybe that's something that can be discussed upon the first meeting of the group. That would be my position on this.
And Ilaria, can you maybe share the links to the Doodle links here in the chat?
Sure. Yes. It's there now, I think. Yeah. So do we have other questions on this?
I can put some music if you want to think about for 30 seconds about some of your questions to be more clear.
That's a very ELC tradition of, so it's perfect. I see that there is a question concerning the day preference. Yes, basically, we would like to have a recurring meeting, so to make things easier for people to organize. So if you have a preference, the day that are for your choosing are a Friday and a Saturday. It was just made in line with the fact that to try to be in line with eventually having working during the week. So you can give a preference on, for example, the first Friday of the month, the second Friday, the first Saturday, the second Saturday. Yeah. Wait, okay, I have a lot of questions now coming in. So I have a question from Marion asking, so if group number 3 depends a bit on group number 1. At Kiev it was mentioned that we have a goal of 1 million lesbians. Yes, definitely. Thank you for the question. Yes, that's a thing that is gonna be happening about the advisory committee all the time. The groups are gonna be interlinked with each other. And actually, we are dividing the group in order to have a workable situation. But I cannot imagine an organization where the structure is not linked to the goals and it's not linked to the sustainability of the structure itself. So the groups will actually be linked to each other, and then we'll try to coordinate the result of the discussion all together. And that's why we need actually coordination, and it's very important that we have someone also from the group doing the coordination. So I have another question from Esther, asking the preference. I guess yes, yeah. So the question is the preference overall if you want to join more groups. Yes, please share your preference in all the groups you want to be in, and then we see how many people are in each days, and we see how to organize. But do choose, I mean, the same day in different group if you want to be in more than one chat. And then
Ilara, I just noticed that I was interested in group 1 and group 3, but they will have the meeting at the same time. Why are they all on the first Saturday or the first Sunday? Why is not group 1 meeting on the first weekend of the month, group 2 on the second weekend of the month, and group 3 on the third weekend of the month, for example?
I was it will probably not happen. I mean, that people will probably choose different days for different group. If we have a group that is meeting on the first Friday, I will say that, and a lot of people that's the only date for most of the people. The other group will try to do it on the other preferred days. You know what I mean? Yes. So put your preference. What I mean is put your preference there, and then we'll see how many people are interested in each day. Probably the numbers will be a bit different for each group, because not all of the people will want to be in the same group, and we'll try to have different date for all the group. So there is no situation where two groups have a meeting at the same time. Am I more clear now?
Yes, let's say that we will really try to organize all the group to not overlap the one with the others. And please take into account that I was advocating for group number 3, but our main problem is that we really need people to reflect also on the structure of the network. And this part, even if Ilaria is very structured and you can have the impression that this is not the most interesting and funny group, this group will be a lot of fun, and so we need people also for group number 2. Do not hesitate to put your candidature to participate to the group number 2.
No, most definitely, it's a very important part of our work, because it's kind of Silvia said that way better than me, so let's go on. Please do choose also group 2, please. I have another question concerning so where we can show desire being coordinator of one of the group. This is Vlada. I think that this choice is gonna be made on the first meeting. If you already know that you want to, maybe you can let us know, and we'll see how many people are interested in the same position, let's call it, and then we try to organize. But if you already know that you want to be coordinator, please let us know. So Milena is asking if there is anything you can do until the next meeting. Yes, please. I will send to you the minutes of this meeting, let's say more or less the Q&A of this meeting, and please do answer the doodle, and then I think we will start with the group themselves.
Yes, and regarding what people can do ahead of the meeting, I think each of the groups, depending on the content of the groups, can send, for example, I will be leading the co-coordinating the group on the strategies and activities. So ahead of the ahead of our first meeting, I will be sending you some of the documents to read, for you to read ahead of the meeting. Mostly those documents that we at the ELC team have been trying to draft up until now. And this will be, of course, up for discussion and consultations with you. So you will be receiving some documents from us ahead of the meeting.
Okay, I think I have answered all your questions. Let me see.
I think that Marion is asking, has already been defined what membership means?
Oh, yes, yeah, I just saw that now. In Marion, do you mean the membership of the advisory committee or of ELC?
Well, what it said on the slide is, on one of the last slides, it said something about membership, and then you can join at a certain time. And I was kind of curious because I'm already thinking about, okay, funding models and community, what it looks like, what membership means in this relationship. So is that already been defined, or is that part of strategy and structure?
It will be definitely part of the discussion in strategy and structure for sure, especially because we are also reflecting. We've been also reflecting on the membership as a way to involve people. And I don't know if Dragana want to share more about that here, or maybe it's something for later. But yes, we're having, as Dragana said, we have been having some discussion already on most of these things, and we will give people some of our ideas and see also what do you think. And if you have more ideas, it's very much welcomed, I think. Dragana, do you want to add something on that?
Well, no, you just said it. So nothing has been decided yet. We have some ideas also on membership, and I think some of you were also at the Kiev brainstorming sessions where we also spoke about it. So we will, in the groups, jointly brainstorm and think together what would be the best option for ELC. So nothing has been decided yet, and this is the reason why we have this advisory group, and this is why we invited all of you to help us think about it a little bit more.
So I have someone, Suzanne, saying that yes, it will probably be difficult for her to commit for one special day each month. That might be, I mean, in general, it would be good to be at meeting, but of course the work will also be done through mailing and working also, or as someone has said, through other technological means like Slack or other platforms. So I think that it's important if it can be at most or a good number of meetings, but the work is going to be also on we will go beyond the weekend, and there will be other things to do for sure. And yeah, in terms of Marion is asking the first step, yes, I will send. Okay, yeah, I have other question coming. Thank you. So first of all, yes, we wait for the first meeting, and you will have some material probably to read, as Dragana said, and some ideas on which to reflect for the first meetings, and then we will move from there. Also in terms of organizing ourselves. I have so could you please tell me who will coordinate group? Okay, yes, sure. So Dragana will be the person dealing with group 1. I will be dealing with group 2, and Silvia will be dealing with group 3. So strategy, Dragana; structure, Ilaria; and resource and community, Silvia. About having, I think, yeah, Esther is asking about having recording of the meeting available. That can be done because we will, since we are using Zoom, we can record our meeting. I am actually doing it now just so I can keep the record of what's going on. And that will be probably, I think that if no one else has problem with that, it's good to have them shared if necessary. So we don't have a Slack already. Marion is asking for that. As I said, it's probably something that is worth to do it if the group want to do it and organize with that. And finally, I have a question from Vlada asking if we will have some question for the next meetings. So we will have some time to prepare. Yes, the idea is that you will arrive to the meeting able to maybe have done some, have look at what we have put together, and so you also will have the time to prepare for sure. That makes sense. Yes, meeting will be preferably via Zoom. Yeah, because Skype, we use Skype quite a lot for our internal meeting at ELC, but with a big number of people, connection is not always the best. So Zoom is actually, for now, the best option we have. I don't have any other question. Let me know. You can also take the mic if you want. What is with? So I have a question from Milena about what is with 20 other people. Yeah, there are other people that could not be here today, but have registered to the Google form. You have been asked to register, or have told us that they were interested but could not make for today. They will also receive this presentation and this meeting, and they will be they should be able to do also the voting for the group, and then we start to decide how to organize ourselves. So I have a question from Reem asking, what is the decision-making process within this group? Is each of them autonomous, or the final decision will be made after discussing them with other group? Each part of the discussion will be dealt with inside the group. Since we will have people that will probably attend more than one group, we will also be able to, and so since there will be coordination among the group, we will know where the discussion is going. And yes, at the end of the day, at the end, the idea is to have one final unique approach, at least, to the different part of the work. Of course, then, as I said, the ELC team will also have a say on what's happening, and the decision will come also from the side. That's why we are speaking about a consultative role, because we want to bring that also to the level of our team and take the decision from there. I don't know if I'm clear on that. If I'm not, please tell me. Or maybe I don't know if Sylvia and Dragan want to explain this a bit more. I don't know. So I have a question from Chris saying, will we have the profile and expectation of the other group members? Yes, I would say that it's very good that if we know each other and we know who are the people and what are the expectations. We were discussing about communicating a bit more about the advisory committee, but yeah, that's a good idea, I would say. I don't know if we want to go into that now on this, or maybe we discuss this a bit more in detail when we have the group ready. But yes, the other group members should, we should know each other.
And Ilaria, I have a question for everybody on that. Do you think will you consider to be part of this advisory committee in a open way, meaning that would you mind if we also start telling the outside world on, let's say, our mainly Facebook pages, your names, or a sentence from all of you? Do you think you will be happy to appear also as a vector of communication for this beginning of construction of the lesbian network in Europe and Central Asia? So if any of you have problems in appearing as a member of the advisory committee, please let us know very clearly and without any problem. I mean, it's totally understandable in millions of different levels. So yeah, I think that we will maybe start also speaking about the fact that we exist as a small beginning of community network for Europe and Central Asia, and to make people see who are the first participants in this huge project that we have.
Okay, I think we have a lot of people saying yes to that, Silvia. And then, of course, we will ask also to all the others and see what, as Silvia said, if someone doesn't want to, let us know in any private way you want to. I have some other question. Let me find it. So Irene is asking, we already have any working plan for each group? Yes, we at a different level. We have some idea on what we would like to discuss, but the working plan is also up to the group. So we will discuss that on the first meeting, I would say. Then I have a question. How do we receive information? Question before the first meeting. We will be sending you emails in the next week. Once we know actually how many people we have in each group, we can build like a mailing list. So it's easy for us to communicate, and we can address the whole group by writing to the mail of the mailing list. And so wait, let me find it. I don't think I have. Do we have other questions? Do we feel we have all? Marion is asking if we have all the right skill at the table, or you're still looking for a specific skill set. I think that since we are still in an initial phase, so if more skills are needed or other people are needed, that can still be added. But for now, more or less, the groups, the people that were interested have shown their interest. So, but I'm quite positive on that. If needed, there is always way to add people to the discussion. Let me see if we have other question. So Esther makes a comment on maybe we can even have a LinkedIn function for the advisory committee, so we can connect there as well. Yeah. It will be nice to see the replace of meetings on the. Okay, sorry. Yes, now I understand. Concerning, so she's asking, see the replace of the meetings of the other. Would be nice to see the replace of the meetings of the other groups to know what is happening. Yes, definitely. If people want to be involved in and know more or less what's happening, the coordination is. The idea is to have them for that reason, and of course the discussion can be put, let's say, open to all of us in using the mailing list or other kind of sharing other kind of Slack. Exactly. Thank you, Marion. if it's more efficient, for sure.
Yeah, and I was also thinking maybe on LinkedIn, if you put the function of board member or the function of advisory committee on LinkedIn, then people can say they're on the board and can connect with each other as well. And it will give the name out there on LinkedIn already.
I'm not sure that everyone is on LinkedIn on the same purpose, so I don't know if it is. We can see if this works for everyone, or if people might be even have some issue on having this kind of position on LinkedIn itself.
No, people can choose themselves if they want to do it or not. But if the function is there, you can click it and you can say, "Hi, I'm in the advisory committee."
I think as for Slack, as for the other instruments, that maybe we can see it with the people involved. If this is something that it's a good idea. I don't know.
I can propose something. If Marion and Esther are, I think they are much more prepared than us on all the possibilities that technology can open to us. If you maybe have half an hour during next week, I'm happy to have a separate Skype with you, and we can talk about all the different possibilities, because now actually we used for 2 years and something Basecamp, which is okay, but the difference between Basecamp and Slack is that I don't know exactly, I have to check again. And then now we switched from Basecamp to Nextcloud, which is not exactly a project management tool, but it can be used as a project management tool. So we can see different possibilities with both of you, and see how to interlink different tools and use it at the best that we can for this process and part of the technicality of this advisory committee.
Yeah, that would be great, actually. Perfect.
Yeah, Esther, my name is Yuri Casalino on Facebook.
I'd be happy to set some stuff up. So I've just actually recently joined Women in Voice, and other people have set it up. But I think it's helpful to have some opportunities on LinkedIn. Not everybody wants to do that, and that's fine. But since I'm on group 3 on community building, let's see what we can do to make it easy for people to join or to endorse without even having the full structure in place yet. Just getting started would be great.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Cool. I will send you both an email, and Esther, if you are traveling, I will try to avoid the moment you are flying or when it's night for you.
It's not about the time zone, but I need to like literally move there and find a new house. So it will be
okay. So, more than that. Okay. Cool.
I don't have a fixed address since 10 years, so my schedule is always really weird.
Okay, we will try to find a moment.
So I'm waiting for other question if you want to. Okay, Madde is leaving, so goodbye and see you very soon. If this is all, I think we can stop here unless you have other question or you want to also have the mic to ask the question. There is no problem. Otherwise, I think I will send to you all the minutes and the link to choose the group, and then we start from there. Do we want some more music, Silvia? Okay.
Of course, I want more music.